the devil, Satan. So hang on. So let's back up a little bit again and talk about Tyre. It was an important city as far as trade and commerce goes. It was a coastal city to the northwest of Israel, right along the coast, somewhere near where one of the coastal cities of Lebanon would be now. But right in that area, when they settled that, nice rocky place, good place to build a city and everything, but the shoreline was shallow, like going into most of our man-made lakes where you can just walk right out into the water. Well, that wasn't good for big ships. So initially, what they had of our man-made where you can just walk right out into the water, well, that wasn't good for big ships. So at one point, and I'm sure it took a long time, but they started building a causeway out to an artificial island. They just started hauling rocks and started right at the shore and dumped them until they had a good solid base that they could go a little farther, and of course the deeper you get, the more rocks it takes. But they built a causeway, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 feet wide, so that wagons could pass each other. And then when they got out to the end, into the deep water, they had to carry more because they built an artificial island. Rocks and rocks and rocks and rocks. Finally, they got it above the sea line, and they rocked, then took out soil so that they could grow their ships. And then they didn't have to row everything in. They could by wagon in and out. What's that all about? Well, it shows how wealthy they were, partly. They couldn't do this if they had not started gaining wealth. And of course, once they got this deep water port, it just increased and increased. And that brings us to where we're at today. And God uses the analogy of a ship, which they would have all been familiar with, in this chapter. So we're in chapter 27. It always starts with the word of the Lord came to me. And say, Son of Man, a lament for Tyre. But we're going to start in verse 3 and go to verse 7 with this first little passage here. So this is what the Lord God says, inlaid with ivory. Your sail was made of fine embroidered linen from Egypt, and served as your banner. Your awning was a blue